Hi guys, today we are gonna model a super simple ring in Blender. So first of all, I'm gonna delete this default cube because we don't need it. Okay, now to create our ring, we're gonna use an add-on that is already inside Blender. Okay, so let's go into Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and here we're gonna select Add Mesh, Extra Objects. We enable it. And now you see that if you press Shift A, here in Mesh you have a lot more objects to choose. We're gonna use the diamonds and the torus. So I'm gonna select the torus. Okay, and here we have this small window where we can change all these settings. I'm gonna change these settings to 6. And I'm gonna decrease this value a little, something like this. Yes. Okay, let's click with the right button of the mouse to apply shade smooth, and also let's rotate this ring by pressing R, X and 19 degrees. Okay, now we have our ring. I'm just gonna use a bevel on these edge loops and this edge loop, so I'll select them and press Ctrl B to add a small bevel, something like this. We have another window here where we can increase the segments. I usually use something like 4 segments. Perfect. Now we can add our diamond by simply going here in Diamonds, Brilliant Diamond. Here you can see that we have many settings and you can play with them if you need something very specific, but I'm fine with the default diamond, so I'm just gonna use this and place it here on top of our ring. I'm just gonna scale it a little more. Okay. Now the last thing that we have to model is some sort of structure to hold the diamond and connect the diamond with the ring. We're gonna do something very simple, so I'm just gonna add a cylinder, but with just 16 vertices. I delete all the faces except the one on top. Okay. Now let's scale it a little and position it here on the base of the diamond. Okay, now let's go into wireframe view so you can see better what I'm doing. Basically, I am in edge selection, okay, and I'm gonna select these pairs of edges, these ones, okay, and now I'm gonna actually let's scale it down a little more first, something like this, okay, but you see that I still have these edges selected, okay, and now I can press E to extrude. I release the button and then I move the edges that I extruded up and I scale them a little. I press E again and I move again up my vertices. Okay. Now we can change here two individual origins and scale again. Okay. I select this face here on the bottom and I'm gonna scale it a little more, like this. And I'm also gonna press I to insert. Now we can go here into the modifiers and choose solidify to add some thickness to it. I increase the value like this. And I'm also gonna add a subdivision surface modifier with level 2. Let's click the right button and choose Shade Smooth also for this object. Now, we're just gonna hide this bottom part of the diamonds so that we don't see through our ring. So, first of all, I'm gonna move this vertex up. Okay, and also we're gonna extrude this face here. Okay, so let's go into the X-ray view so you can see better what I'm doing. I select this face here, okay, and I press E and move it down. I extruded that face like this. I can scale it a little. I think I'm gonna increase the thickness a little more. Okay, the last thing I want to do is to create, to extrude this loop of faces because I'm gonna create some sort of decoration on this ring. So I select this loop of faces and I select I to insert, and then I press E to extrude and S to scale it toward the center of the model. Okay, now our 3D model of a ring is completed and we can skip to the material and lighting. Okay, first of all, as you can see, I added a very simple plane, which will be our background. And now we are gonna actually work on the lighting later. But to see what we are doing with the materials, I'm just gonna add a simple area light here. Okay. Let's increase the power and I'm gonna duplicate it and place it here behind our ring. Let's see how it looks like. Okay. Okay, now our scene is a little more illuminated and we can start working on the materials. Okay, I'm gonna go into shading viewport here and let's start working on our materials. Let's start with our diamond, which is gonna change into a ruby, I think. Let's go here into material properties and press new. Okay, it's going to be actually a very simple material. You can do something very realistic, but I'm gonna do something very simple. I change the base color to some kind of red, and then I decrease all these values. Now I change the index of refraction to this value. I choose this value because it should be the correct index of refraction for the ruby. You are not obviously forced to use the correct value. You can play with it to have the kind of effect that you really want. And now I'm gonna change my transmission to 1. Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna go here and enable screen space reflection. Let's go for a second in the render properties here. And let's change the parameters for a second. We're gonna enable ambient occlusion, bloom, but let's change the threshold to something like this, and also enable screen space reflection. This is very important for this kind of materials. And let's enable refraction too. Okay, now you see that the effect is completely changed. Okay, obviously the real result depends on the lighting that you use. The last thing that we're gonna do for the material is add a mix shader. You can add a node here by pressing Shift A, and in search I search mix shader and I place it here in the middle. Okay, and now I'm gonna search for the refraction BSDF. I place it here and I connect it to the mix shader. And also I'm gonna pick the same red color. Now the ring material, so we add another material. And obviously we're gonna, in this case, increase the metalness to 1 and decrease the roughness a lot. Okay. I'm gonna apply the golden material to our object here. But do you remember that we inserted and extruded this loop of faces? This loop of faces will have the same ruby material. So with this loop selected, we create a new slot and we choose the ruby material and assign it like this. Perfect. Okay. Now we obviously have to work on the lightning. Okay, as for the background, the material that I use is a simple principal BSDF with this color code. Okay. Now, let's change our camera view. First of all, let's change here our resolution because I want a square view. And then I'm gonna change my camera parameters. Okay. Now we can start working on our lightning to see many more reflections on our ring. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna add a sun. I place it here and I rotate it a little bit in these two directions. Okay, now this light, this area light here that I put behind my model, I'm gonna reduce it a little, make it okay, something like this, and I'm gonna increase the power. Okay, let's increase this one too. I'm gonna duplicate this one and place it here on the right so that we have some kind of lightning also on this part, but in this case I decrease the power to 200. Okay. Here my sun, I think I'm gonna increase the strength to 3. Okay. And now we're gonna add some point light to illuminate our diamond. So I select my diamond and I press Shift S, cursor to selected, and I'm gonna create a point light directly here. Okay. And I'm gonna leave it like this. Then I duplicate it and bring it here on top. But let's reduce the radius. Okay. And now we can move it here. Basically, you can create as many point light as you want and as you need to have all the reflection that you want. I create another one, but I reduce the radius a lot. Okay. I'm gonna scale down this lightning so that the the refraction that it creates on the ruby is not too wide. Okay. And I'm gonna add some lights here to illuminate this part of the ring. So I pick a point light here and I duplicate it and place it here. I'm gonna increase the radius. Okay, you see without it and with it. And we need some lightning also behind this part of the diamond. So let's duplicate this one and place it here. Yes, much better. Let's see how it looks rendered. Really beautiful. I think it just needs some more lightning here. So I'm gonna duplicate this one. So let's see if I duplicate this area light instead and rotate it. Okay, last few changes. I pick this light that I have put inside my diamond and move it up like this and reduce the radius. Okay. Also, I think I'm gonna scale the ring a little to make it just a little smaller. Okay. Like this. And another useful trick is to add some lightning with a red color to give some red reflection, which are always nice to see. Okay, and also I think I'm gonna change a little the color of my background. Yeah, to something more saturated. Okay, now let's see how it looks rendered. Really, really nice. Yes, exactly like I wanted it. So you see that we created with very few steps a perfect ring in Blender, very simple to do. And with the bloom activated, it looks like it's actually glowing and it's really beautiful. Please always remember to subscribe and like my videos if you want more tutorials and more free 3D models for you. And we're gonna see each other again next week. Bye!